Welcome to Leading Behind the Scene. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Young, the go-to business and operations consultant for six-figure CEOs who are ready to reach their next level of growth. And I'm ready to share tools, strategies, and tips to help you excel in your business and your life. If you're a service-based entrepreneur, be sure to join me each Thursday. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast player so you never miss an episode. And if you love the content, leave me a rating review. Now let's get into today's episode.
Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Leading Behind the Scene. Today, we are going to dig into the challenges that CEOs often face when implementing boundaries and saying no in their businesses. We'll also explore some common obstacles and strategies to overcome them as well. As CEOs, our time and energy are precious resources, and setting boundaries is crucial for maintaining focus and making strategic decisions. However, I get it. It's not always easy to say no or establish clear boundaries with so many competing priorities. So let's explore this a little bit. In a previous episode, we talked about some strategies to setting boundaries, right? So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that episode, I highly recommend going back and downloading it and adding it to your Leading Behind the Scene podcast playlist. In that episode, we talked about the importance of boundaries to protecting our well-being, giving us space to focus on what truly matters, and creating the time freedom we wanted to give ourselves. However, it is equally crucial to understand that as CEOs, our responsibilities are vast, ranging from strategic planning and decision-making to leading teams and managing stakeholders. Without clear boundaries, we risk spreading ourselves too thin and jeopardizing fulfilling the mission and vision of our organizations. Boundaries also help us foster a healthy organizational culture. By setting boundaries, we create space for innovation, quality work, and personal growth, ultimately driving the success of our businesses. This is why boundaries are important. Now, let's explore some of the common challenges CEOs face when implementing these boundaries and saying no. Challenge number one, fear of missing opportunities. We as CEOs often face the fear of missing out on potential opportunities. With countless demands and requests, it's easy to feel pressured to say yes to everything. However, it's important to discern which opportunities align with your strategic vision and have the highest potential for long-term success. Overcoming this fear requires a clear understanding of your goals and the ability to prioritize accordingly. This is why your strategic planning and goal setting is important. When you invest the time to work on these things, it makes it easier to say no to anything that does not align with it. So that's challenge number one, fear of missing out. Challenge number two, managing stakeholder expectations. CEOs are accountable to multiple stakeholders. Depending on how your business is structured, this could include shareholders, board members, could be employees or contractors or vendors or customers and clients. Balancing their expectations while maintaining boundaries can be challenging. Effective communication is key in managing these expectations. So clearly articulate your boundaries, explain your decision-making process, and ensure your stakeholders understand the strategy behind your choices. So that's number two, managing stakeholder expectations. Challenge number three, overcoming the people-pleasing syndrome. Oh my goodness. Many of us often have a natural inclination and strong desire to accommodate others. However, this can lead to overcommitment and a lack of time for essential tasks. It's crucial to recognize that saying no is not a sign of weakness, but a strategic decision to protect your time and focus on the most important priorities. It is vital to recognize that your time and energy are limited resources. Developing the skill to say no, focusing on activities that contribute to your success, And learning to navigate difficult conversations is necessary for long-term growth. So that's number 3, overcoming the people-pleasing syndrome. Challenge number 4, staying consistent. This is probably one of the harder ones. Consistency is key in maintaining boundaries. Regular reviewing and reassessing your boundaries to ensure they align with your current goals and circumstances is key. Be proactive in reinforcing them and don't be afraid to course correct if necessary. Remember, protecting your time and achieving time freedom is an ongoing process. So now that we've talked through the challenges a little bit, let's explore some strategies to overcome them and implement really effective boundaries. Strategy number 1, define your non-negotiables. Identify your non-negotiable priorities as a CEO. These are the areas where your expertise and attention are most valuable. These are the things that are not open for debate or modification. These are the things that you say, nope, get somebody else to do it, or just plain no. For example, I had a client once where every single thing was urgent, right? Like, I'm talking, this got to be done by the end of the day, whether it was a promotional thing that needed to be ordered. And I'm thinking, we know that these sales and marketing tactics come around all the time. So even when they say you're never going to see this again, means you'll see it again in a couple weeks, right? It was just insane. Everything had to be done by end of day. Makes zero sense, right? Or you get the client who is barking every single time something is done, or every minor mistake, right? Like not major mistakes that are costing, revenue dollars or things like that, but just the minor stuff. Like there was always something. It was never good enough. And so it was at that moment that I created a non-negotiable for myself on the type of clients I would work with. I would not work with insecure or insatiable clients. These are the ones who are anxiety ridden and they micromanage everything, or the ones who feel that work is never, ever good enough. Yeah, get somebody else to do it. I'm good on that. Because remember, my energy budget is hella bougie. So it's super important to know what your non-negotiables are and align your boundaries with them in mind. This clarity will help you make strategic decisions, allocate your time effectively, and stay focused on what really matters. So strategy number 1, define your non-negotiables. Strategy number 2, delegate and empower your team. Delegation is crucial for CEOs to create space for higher level responsibilities. Trust your team, empower them, and delegate tasks that others can handle effectively. By doing this, you not only alleviate your workload, but you also provide growth opportunities for your team. Now, I have to mention that delegation is not handing something off and relying on the person to figure out how to execute it by themselves. If you have not done the work up front to understand the challenges that could occur once the work leaves your hands, and if you haven't put systems and processes in place to address them ahead of time, delegating without training, without context, without processes, and without clear expectation is just pure negligence. Okay? So let's not do that. So that's strategy number 2, delegate and empower your team. Strategy number 3, develop a decision-making framework. Establish a decision-making framework that aligns with your strategic goals. This framework will help you evaluate requests and opportunities objectively. Consider factors such as, does it align with your vision? Does it have any impact on your current goals and current commitments? What does that look like? And do you really have the available resources to do this? So having a clear decision-making process will make it easier to say no to opportunities that do not align with your strategic direction. Implementing boundaries and saying no as a CEO is essential for maintaining focus, managing your time effectively, and driving the success of your business. By overcoming challenges such as the fear of missing opportunities, managing stakeholder expectations, and navigating the people-pleasing syndrome, you can establish a healthy work-life harmony and lead with intention. Beautiful people, remember, setting boundaries is not a sign of weakness. We said this before, but it's a strategic decision to protect your time and energy. By doing so, you create the space necessary for innovation, for strategic thinking, and sustainable growth. So go ahead, embrace the power of boundaries, say no when necessary, and lead your business to new heights. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next week on another episode of Leading Behind the Scene.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Leading Behind the Scene. I hope you found some encouragement or helpful information today to help move your business and or your life forward. If you have a specific topic you'd like me to talk about or guests you'd like me to have on the show, feel free to send me a DM on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. I love connecting with my listeners. Also, be sure to follow the podcast so you never miss an episode and leave me a rating review. I'll see you next week.